Hello, my loves. We are going to do tonight's episode on Faces in the Mirror, the urban legend of Bloody Mary. So, last episode we did a urban legends episode, and I had you guys choose one urban legend that you would want me to elaborate a little bit more on, and we chose Bloody Mary. So, let's get into it. And you can see I'm surrounded by mirrors, so let's just shut out the light. Oh, that's. Should we do it? Do it like this? Do it in the dark? Do it in the dark. Just kidding. I'm being silly. All right. Bloody Mary is a scary as fuck urban legend that has been told for decades. But what might psychology tell us about its appeal and origins? Typically, this story involves a young woman performing a ritual before a mirror. As a result of the ritual, a frightening supernatural figure appears and often inflicts violence upon her. Bloody Mary legends are found across the world with similar, I can't even talk, but variations being found in North America, Europe, Asia. It has also found its way into popular culture, being the focus of horror films such as Urban Legends, Bloody Mary, and The Legend of Bloody Mary, and a key influence on the film Candyman. Good stuff. Very good stuff. I love it. Bloody Mary is thought to have evolved from much older mirror divination rituals. In a footnote to his 1786 poem Halloween, Robert Burns described a mirror ritual used in Britain for the purpose of a person, typically a woman or a young girl, seeing the face of their future spouse. This continued into European folklore up to the 20th century, with Halloween greeting cards being produced with pictures of this ritual. The result of the ritual could, however, be sometimes horrific. Yeah, we'll just say that. It was said that if the woman was destined to die unmarried, she would see the face of the Grim Reaper in the mirror. It was also said during the 19th century that if you stared into the mirror for too long, you would see the motherfucking devil. Yeah, terrible. It was not until the 1970s, however, that examples of Bloody Mary legends were first published in print. The first examples of Mary Worth legends were published in an anthology of American children's folklore in 1976, and the first academic writing on the subject was by Janet Langlois in 1978. As with any oral tradition, Bloody Mary legends are likely to have existed for many, many years before they were even published. However, it is argued very heavily that the current form of Bloody Mary legend originated in the USA after World War II. Okay, the legends themselves can be separated into three parts: a backstory for the ghost, the ritual, and the result of the summoning. The scary part. There is a wide range of variation in these elements, even when just looking at Western English language versions. Most frequently, the supernatural entity is a ghost named Mary or Bloody Mary, or other variations include Mary Worth, Mary Wales, Black Agnes. Yeah, she is sometimes linked to the historical figures of Mary, Queen of Scots, or Queen Mary of England and Ireland, who was nicknamed Bloody Mary by Protestants in the 16th century. How coincidental, wouldn't you say? Yes, absolutely. Or local folkloric figures such as the Bell Witch, which I've done a story on, so you'll have to go back a month or so and watch that story. A regional variation specific to Tennessee, USA, the Bell Witches. Her backstory often involves being the victim of violence, such as being the ghost of a woman executed for witchcraft, a female student murdered by teachers, or a beautiful woman who was disfigured. She is also sometimes depicted as the ghost of a woman whose children were murdered, occasionally with a direct link to La Llorona, the weeping woman of Hispanic folklore. That was a really good movie. Scared the shit out of me. Great jump scares. Loved it. And its most basic, the ritual involves reciting a summoning phrase, often the ghost name repeated 3 or 13 times, or some other number that is agreed upon. It's usually 3 or 13. in front of a mirror in a dimly lit room. The phrase sometimes relates to the backstory. For example, Bloody Mary, I killed your baby, links to the backstory of Bloody Mary being the ghost of a mother whose children were murdered. That's very sad. The ritual can also involve more complex elements such as lighting candles, turning around, throwing water over the mirror, or flushing a toilet. Sounds simple, sounds dangerous to me. Means of protection or escape are sometimes offered, such as turning on a light or using a protective ring of salt. See? And that's why I always remind you to carry your salt, because it is a very good protectant. We all need salt. I carry mine in my purse. Seriously. Like 3 different kinds. Can never be too safe. The summoning is typically said to result in violent injury or death. So I don't know if we should actually, summon Bloody Mary. I don't know. Sounds a bit crazy to me. This can range from fingernail scratches on the body or face to eyes being scratched out or decapitation. Holy fuck. Others have the summoner tested with holding the ghost baby. If it cries, they receive a violent death. If not, they are saved. But why is Bloody Mary or similar supernatural tales so appealing? Especially now, even though we've seen all these horror movies and shit, and we've heard a lot of these backstories, it's still a really, really popular urban legend. Like everybody, you get a gang together and they're like, hey, let's spook the shit out of each other. Let's do Bloody Mary. Let's do this, that, It's scary. So why is it so appealing? Well, cognitive anthropologists have suggested that some of the appeal of supernatural stories can be explained by a psychological bias in humans for information which is minimally counterintuitive, basically. Pascal Boyer argued that people hold intuitive assumptions about how the world works, referred to as folk psychics and folk biology. Example, we assume that heavy items will fall to the ground, or that solids cannot pass through other solids, or that animals need food to live and plants cannot talk. Concepts which break these folk assumptions are counterintuitive, and importantly, a balance between a minority of counterintuitive and a majority of intuitive concepts is more memorable and more likely to be passed on to others. Hence, minimally counterintuitive. A number of traditional folk tales, myths, and legends support this. They have only a small number of supernatural elements, such as a talking wolf, awesome, very awesome, embedded in a story of normal everyday events such as visiting grandma. Oh, Little Red Riding Hood, very good indeed. This is also likely to be the case with contemporary supernatural folklore. That is certainly the case with Bloody Mary, with a normal everyday setting such as a bathroom being interrupted by a counterintuitive supernatural element such as a murderous fucking ghost that comes out of the mirror and either kills your ass or traps you behind it for all eternity. Sounds like a very lovely game, doesn't it? It's not a game. It is not a game. It's not a game. My own research examining Bloody Mary legends found that the vast majority contained 1 to 3 counterintuitive concepts, a result which closely matches similar studies using traditional folklore such as the Grimm's fairy tales, which were great, love them. Particular relevance to the Bloody Mary legend is a perceptual illusion discovered by psychologist Giovanni Caputo in 2010. Caputo found that staring at your own reflection in a dimly lit room results in the perception of strange faces, often including monstrous beings, archetypal faces such as babies or old women, or the faces of deceased relatives. Basically, when our minds are in a lightly lit, dimly lit area, the brain actually hallucinates because it's trying to come up with all these images, like telling it, or trying to be like, what are we seeing? Okay, what is this? You're staring at yourself in a dimly lit room and you're trying to focus on features, and they're shifting, they're changing, they're melting, you look old, you look new, you look creepy as fuck, you start to see other people. It's a mind thing. It's actually very quite scary. Whatever the historical or psychological origins of the Bloody Mary legend, the story has survived for decades across the world and it persists to this day. Do you dare call on Bloody Mary this Halloween? If so, make sure you have your salt and make sure you're not doing it alone. In fact, they say that she comes more often when it is in a group ritual, which is pretty fucking neat if you ask me, you know? Well, that told us a little bit about Bloody Mary, the legend. There are so many backstories on her. Like the main one depicts that, I shouldn't say the main one, but there's one that she lost a child and she became this hideous, horrific witch or whatever. There's another one that says that she was burnt at the stake, accused of witchcraft. There was another one where she was very sick and she was buried, and back then they buried them with a string attached to a stick and a bell because they often buried people alive. You can hear my cat through the door. She wants to come in, but she can't. No, Evie, that's enough. That's the main one that I always heard. She was buried alive, and the family stayed home waiting for her for an entire week to ring that bell. They wanted her to wake up. She had some kind of sickness, and a lot of people it was like a sleeping sickness, and they were eventually waking up. So that's what they thought was going on. But after a week, they laid her to rest in a coffin. They did leave the string down the hole attached to the stick and the bell, just in case if she did wake up, she could ring the bell and they would get to her before she suffocated. In this story, she woke up on the 7th or 8th day from her sleeping sickness, whatever she had. She woke up, but the neighbor had talked the parents into leaving the house and no longer waiting after the 7th day. They said the neighbors had told the parents of the dead girl that it's been 7 days. She hasn't woken up yet. She's probably not going to. And so they sort of accepted it. They were forced to move on by the neighbor. The parents left the house. The neighbor wasn't at his house to hear the bell. She did awaken on the 8th day, rang the bell, pulled and pulled and pulled. Nobody was coming to her rescue. Nobody was hearing it because they were out and about. And she ended up clawing, trying to get out, and she suffocated to death. When the parents got back home, they noticed that things weren't right. They ran to the gravesite to dig her up. And they noticed that the white dress she was buried in was covered in blood. Her fingernails were gone. There was nothing but nubs. She had a very frightened horrific look on her face. So she was alive, but now she was in fact dead. They put the mirror underneath her nose to see if there was any breath left. There was no breath, but there was condensation, meaning that she hadn't even been dead for very long. Her body was still warm. She wasn't cold. And so because she basically died at the time when they put the mirror underneath her nose, the mirror trapped her. That's the main story of Bloody Mary that I know. And it's very chilling. So yeah. So that's what I got on Bloody Mary legend. I'm sure there's so much more. There is so many different backstories in all different areas of the world, you know, how Bloody Mary came to be. It is one of the most famous urban legends though, so it was definitely a good one to do a story on. Let me know in the comments how you like the story. Also, if you have anything to add to this, I would love to hear it. I love learning new things. It's nice to just chat with people about it. So let me know in the comments what you would like as far as an episode for, or what you would like for a topic for the next episode. I was thinking about possibly doing like a live ghost story type of thing. I live in North Dakota, and we do have some areas here in North Dakota that are said to be haunted. And so I would like to actually travel to these places and either do a video, either do a video or do a live and just really get into the story of why this place is haunted and, you know, stuff like that. We'll kind of go scout it out. I think it would be fun. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you this coming Sunday for Scary Story Sunday. Again, I wanted to mention my website. I'll post it underneath this video. You have to check it out. The merch is awesome. There's a lot of horror merch there. I also have some, if you're a fan, an Amber Ray fan of music, acting, modeling, that type of stuff, there's also Amber Ray merch. And I also have some comedy type of stuff because I'm kind of I'm a spooky, weird, silly chick. Like, that's my thing. Like, that explains me in a nutshell, you know? Fucking spooky, weird, and funny. I'm just weird. But I have some funny, some funny merch that we are adding shortly tonight too, and I want you to take a look at that stuff because it makes really awesome t-shirts, beer koozies, tote bags if anybody carries those still, a whole bunch of stuff. Just go check it out. I'll post it in somewhere underneath this video, so check that out, and I'll see you next Sunday for Scary Story Time Sunday. All right, happy hump day. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.